só o cabelo dele.
Alright, hopefully now
Não, cadê?
the connection is good. We get the Wi-Fi. So we just finished, one more time. We just finished getting out of the pool, but I didn't save.
Oh, okay, for the didn't see that. Alright, so we just came out of the pool. It's like a beautiful weather here in Colorado.
74 degrees.
It's the first time. Hi. It's the first time we came to the pool with Luke here. As you know, people who follow us see that we love going to the pool with him because he brings him some awareness to his muscles, and also he loves it. So, and we both, like, as you guys know, we're both athletes before, so pool, it's like our environment. I swam until I was, I don't know, 39 months pregnant, right?
Yes.
No, 39, no, because I was born 30. So 37.
37.
Yeah, I swam
She
all the
actually,
way.
you can actually see a video on YouTube that she was 30 weeks pregnant and she did 1 mile open water swim.
Yeah.
So
So, and that was our biggest dream when, right before we had Luke, like when we were pregnant, like he's gonna be a swimmer, like not a professional swimmer, but you know, we're gonna throw him in the pool and this and that. And when he was born and he had all these difficulties, like we didn't take that as a no. We're like, okay, but we're gonna make it work. And
yeah,
then,
actually, most of the doctors said he's not gonna swim and
he's not gonna be a swimmer.
he's not gonna be able to go to the beach. But even with the trach, one of the first things we did was take him to the beach.
Yeah. And then when he, like, one of the things we didn't want to do the trach was because we wouldn't be able to bring him to the pool. However,
Besides me being really scared.
yeah, however, like, before the trach, I'll be honest, his neck was free, but we couldn't dump it in. Like, his head couldn't go in the water regardless.
Yeah.
And so it was like, what's the point, you know? Like, we're holding off on something that's gonna make him better, but still, he's not, you know, diving in and stuff like that. So he couldn't really benefit from the water as much because he didn't have the strength to breathe. So yeah. So after the trach, we're like, okay, we're just gonna make this work. And in Florida, you know, because of the weather, we'll do that very often. We even go with Jody, his OT there, and to a friend's house also we went, and it's amazing. He loves it. He loves it. And today he was kind of right. We thought like, oh, maybe he's getting sick or something, or he's like, too tired. But I knew when I look at the weather, I knew we had this window of today, like the weather is really good today. I'm like, we can't miss this because we thought about going last week and the weather it
got colder, yeah. But to have an idea, like Monday morning, it actually snowed here, and but it was like pretty quick. So it snowed, and you're saying hi, Luki.
Yeah.
So it snowed a little bit, and then but the weather got better. It's a little windy today, but other than that, it's pretty awesome weather here.
Yeah, so we decided to bring him to the pool, and sure enough, you know, he got in the pool and he started moving his arms like he doesn't do outside of the water because there's no gravity.
Today was the first time he was able to spread his arms like this.
Yeah.
So it was pretty
We'll
amazing
post a
to see.
after.
It was pretty cool to see it because, you know, like it was the first time I saw him open his arms. So it was pretty emotional, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty nice. And we have talked about this week his therapies. I don't know. He has been working really hard. Last week, when we told you guys that he was going to look for a power wheelchair. Hi, fala oi pra vovó. Oi pra vovó.
Say hi, grandmother.
Hi, grandma. We actually ended up spending a whole day, like no, a whole afternoon.
Yeah, it was 6 hours.
Yeah, in the New Motion, the place that fit him for power wheelchair and his chair and everything, and it's like it was really exhausting for us. I can't imagine for him. So, and then he had synergies on Friday shots. So he is kind of building up, being extra tired, and so we wanted to take it easy, but he has like 2 therapies a day, and then today we're like it's more like relaxing time for him.
Since last Monday, what is his schedule?
Well, Monday he had PT and OT, which did we post? He used like a little swing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. On Monday,
if you haven't seen him on a swing, you should, because he absolutely loves it.
He like enjoys so much. I think I posted on his Facebook. Yeah, and PT she does pretty much, maintenance and getting stronger. So every day we work a little bit on something different. But we pretty much see her 3 times a week, and then yesterday he had PT again, and he had speech, and we were talking about a communication device for him, but we all do so much with him, and we end up like sometimes I feel like we end up forgetting, or people start forgetting, because he's so like he gives the feedback so much, like and he's such a hard worker.
He works so hard to have an idea. Like Thursday, he had the DI therapy plus like the standard, and then we spent the whole day at New Motion, which was pretty exhausting, testing the power wheelchair, fixing his adaptive stroller now, and then on Friday he had speech, and there was only it, right? And synergies. And then Saturday he do all the therapy with us, so we tried to keep him pretty active. Sunday the same thing. Then Monday he had PT and OT. Then Tuesday he had PT and speech. And then today we were like, okay, he kind of needs a break, but the pool is good because it's kind of relaxing for him too.
Yeah.
So, but that's how hard he works. Like every week's like this.
Yeah, we kind of ended up forgetting that he's 21 months old, and it's not like he's an adult like us. And still, I don't work out as much as he does. So we're going to start like doing a few changes on his schedule, I think, right? Like we're gonna get like him one day off.
Actually, we were thinking, because normally Saturday is our off day, where we kind of do whatever, and he usually ended up doing a lot of stuff. But we were actually talking yesterday, like one of our concerns was like, okay, he needs to have all those therapies, but he's actually still a kid. And then we actually spent like about an hour trying to figure out what we can do different to he needs to experience life, and we both agree that we can't make his life all therapy, because usually he wakes up in the morning, it's almost like an hour of respiratory therapy, and then right off the bat he has usually PT or T or speech, and then when he finishes all those therapies,
he's exhausted.
He takes a nap, and we wake up and we do a little bit more therapy with him. So we were kind of like, okay, we need to back off a little bit. And that's one topic I think maybe a lot of special needs parents might be, dealing with. I don't know, just because
it's hard to find a balance where you do have to work them or with them for them to get better, but you also have to make sure that you remind yourself that they're kids.
Yeah.
You know, like they need, like, I know we have to facilitate for Luke playing and doing everything, which is exhausting for us too.
Exactly.
But like sometimes, like you have to find a happy medium where like we all can hang out. You know, we all can just like relax a little bit. So.
And I think that the difficulty, at least I have, it's you know, like it's sometimes I think about it like, okay, I gotta accept that his life is gonna be a little bit different. By that means, it's like probably his entertainment is gonna be more like TV and iPad because he physically can do a lot, and we can, like I can physically do all the stuff for him. So that's and you know, for the people who knows me, like before he was born, my life was pretty much 100% like physical. So that's like where, you know, like sometimes it's like a thin line in it, and we were actually talking about that yesterday. You know, like it's actually sitting down and assuming like, listen, his life is that, and I can't make it his life all therapy because otherwise he's gonna hate it. So he needs to be a kid as much as possible within his own limitations. And like I always say, like it's definitely up to him to decide what he can or cannot do. It's not up to me, and I'm here to help him. But either way, you know, like there is a thin line of where like, okay, I just gotta accept that, you know, like he might be playing more video games than I would like to, you know, watching the iPad or the TV more than I would like it. So that's,
and like our biggest goal now is independence.
Yeah.
And whatever kind, you know, whatever kind of independence. If he can play by himself, if he can, you know, like move by himself, like with a power wheelchair that we're looking to it. If he can sue himself when, you know, whenever he feels like, if he can communicate to his needs and, you know, what he wants, what he likes. So, and part of that is that he's gonna be independent, you know, in his own way, but at the same time, like as a kid, he wants to explore stuff. He wants to, you know, just be left alone. I believe, I'm a first-time mother, and we both, people like say, oh, you do a great job, but we're both learning as it goes as well. So it's not like we have it figured out 100%. So we have this like mentality of go because we're athletes, and that's how
which is good and bad sometimes.
Yeah, that's how we came like to you know, I think that's why Luke got, you know, so much improvement, physical improvement, because we always like on top of it, and I think our minds also switched to a point where we're like, okay, what kind of therapy we can do with that, right?
Exactly.
What can we work with that? But we have to switch a little bit back to, you know, he's a kid and he needs to enjoy life. Like, what's the point of doing all this work if he cannot be a kid? He cannot go through the process and go through, you know, the phases that a kid goes through. So yeah, he's gonna be adaptive. We know that he's gonna be this and that, but you know, like enjoy a little bit as a kid. And that's so true because, like, if you think about it, we're gonna do surgery. Like I said last week, we're gonna do a surgery for his testicles. And one of the reasons why and the doctor says one of the biggest reasons for him is that we are going to do the testicles because he's gonna have the puberty time, like phase, right? He's gonna be able to, if his testicles are down, so he's gonna go through that instead of supplementing or, you know, doing hormones. And I'm like, what's the point of going through puberty if his life is gonna be like an adult, you know, doing therapies all the time and this and this and that. So, so yeah, we have to find a balance. And Richard says, let's rephrase that. Richard says that I am the one who it's always like I never give him time to relax, and I can you know, play guilty on that. um, because I feel like he has so much potential, and we see other kids that have done so much, and I know the parents are on top of it, but I know we have to. I think we have to also know that every kid is different, and even though if they have exactly the same diagnosis, the input that they're gonna get
It's completely different.
it's gonna be different, and sometimes less is more, right?
Yeah.
So-
Recovery.
Yeah.
I always say recovery is part of training. Like when I was training, but it's hard when you doing with your own kid. I think, and keep in mind, like we try to do all therapies fun, so he feels like he's playing and all that.
Yeah.
But on the bottom line is like
He already
it's like,
has like an adult soul. We feel like he's already has an old soul.
yeah.
Where he looks at it, he's like, okay, got it.
And it's what I was trying to explain to Carol is like, like where imagine if your life was workout every time, even though it's fun, but you're working out every day, all the time. Like I done that and I got burned out. So
Yeah.
the last thing we want is that to get him burned out. So I think that it's a thin line between that. And then we're trying to find the thin line, and like the reason we're talking about this is like it's sometimes like when we post stuff it seems like all too easy and all that, but we struggle with that, and we struggle to think like, is he being like a kid instead of just having therapy all the time and surrounded by adults telling him what he needs to do, pushing him at max. And I know Carol raced a professional for a while. I raced professionally for 12 years. It's like, we know that it's not fun after a while, like when you have to do that every single day, and that's the last thing we want for him. So
Yeah, you still get
That's
limits and everything else, and I know like every kid is different, and Luke has the awareness and his cognitive is there. So when time is right, he's gonna have to understand. We're gonna have to teach him that there's time for this, there's time for that. But
and it's like,
but to have an idea, I want to say that, like, to have an idea, we barely get out of the house with the trach and da. I almost have a lockdown in my head, like a lockdown. Okay, we're not getting out of here. We're not doing. But the fact that we moved from Florida to here, and Florida was like this. Outside is too hot, so you have to be inside. Inside is full of germs, right? So we're not getting out of the house. That's it, right? So, but
even though it seems like we do a lot with him, like
Yeah.
for us, sometimes we're not getting out enough.
yeah, and so here we have this like whole another world of opportunities where we can explore life, explore outside, and we're not afraid of, you guys see that we go on the standard. We're not afraid of taking him outside. It's just that I am kind of proud to say that it's a proud moment, but not really. It's kind of hard to explain, but that he doesn't get sick all the time, and it's just good.
There's no
Like a
way
wood
around it.
somewhere. And because we do that lockdown, but here, we're right here. He's enjoying. He's like having a fun time. He doesn't look like right now, but when I put him here, he look at the pool. He's like, oh, I like this. So, and we always wanted to hike, right? And we always wanted to go to the mountains. So we're thinking.
We kind of have a project for the weekend. Is maybe try to get him a little higher.
Yeah.
We're gonna take the oxygen, of course, but
We tell you
maybe-
guys how that goes.
yes.
How that went.
I was thinking to take, for those who don't know, when we announced his name, we were in Boulder, a little higher on one of the trails in Boulder. So I would love to take him there this weekend. So that's probably the plan,
Yeah.
and see if we can go a little higher. So we decided that, because the thing is, we don't want him to be like, oh my God, I don't want to do therapy. We want him to keep wanting to do, because that's the truth. He's gonna do that for the rest of his life. So
And it's not like a
So
sport
we were
that
trying
you
to
pick,
do- yeah.
that you pick and you're like, yeah, if I don't want to do it anymore, I don't want to do it anymore. It's like
he's gonna have to deal
therapy.
with it.
It's what makes him stronger, and and he has to keep moving for the rest of his life in order to keep moving. So
So we decided that we're gonna try to do crazier stuff. Because we live in Colorado, we love the outdoors, and our goal is to do more. Because like Florida was tough because he doesn't like the hot weather. So whenever it's like 100 degrees outside, we couldn't do much. And then going inside, we were always afraid of germs. But here, the weather is kind of nice. Even if it snows in the morning, usually it's 50s, 60s, where he loves it during the day. So we decided to try to do a lot more on the outside, and hopefully this weekend we can take you up in the mountains, right, buddy? What do you think?
you're like Nuki?
Yeah, see, he likes it. So, so that's why we came to the pool. We actually were going to a indoor pool, but when we saw the weather, we were like, okay, let's try it. We just gotta hurry up when we take him out of the water, but it all worked out.
Oh, and talking about being sick, I'm like, I was speaking to one of the moms, like, I think we talked about it last week, but I don't know if you did we? About having like support groups. Did we talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would say that 50%, at least 50% of what we do with Luke, it's a lot guided by the support groups that we are part of. We're part of support groups for Nemaline myopathy, for hypotonia, for trach babies, and it's like it's such an amazing feeling to know that you can always ask or talk about it and ask for support, and people are gonna understand you. And it's not that people that don't have kids with disability don't understand you, but they never been in your shoes or a little bit felt like you felt. And so for all families out there that just found out about having a kid with disability, or have like support groups, like you always can ask questions. And we actually have a family that has a kid with Nemaline myopathy here in Colorado, in Denver, and they're like so awesome. Like it's a really nice family, and they help us a lot with a lot of stuff that we do. But I was talking to one of the moms the other day about kids from Nemaline myopathy, about being sick and stuff, and she happens to be an RT, and her kid has Nemaline myopathy, but he doesn't have a trach. And I was asking her, because her kid was in the hospital, and I hope she doesn't mind it. I mentioned that story. I'm not gonna say names, but I would ask her why Luke doesn't go to the hospital as much, and thank you for that. And we think it's because of the trach. Trach, it's like something really invasive if you think about it, and we were against it for a long time. And it's
I was super scared.
Yeah, it's really invasive, and if you think about it, like I think Richard posted a video of us changing the trach. When I pull out the trach and he puts it in, and I look and I see that hole, it's like, what the heck we're doing? It's really invasive, and it's really open. It's like his lungs are right there, so it's really open to infections and stuff like that. But there is a good side of it. It's that it helps him a lot.
And it's so easy to manage.
Yeah, meaning it's gives him what he needs, like all the pressure, and we can always change the pressure if he's sick and things like that. So right now he needs the trach, and if a lot of people ask me like, oh, do you think he's gonna win off the trach? I don't know. No, and don't think about it, right? We don't think about it.
Yeah, we don't think about it.
You could be much easier life if we didn't have the trach, but like I said before, we didn't even go to the pool, I think, before the trach with him.
No, we couldn't do much because he was so weak.
Yeah,
and he was working so hard to breathe.
And he would like move secretions and start like coughing, and then to get the secretions on him, it's like a nightmare. And when you have a trach, you almost like run a mini hospital in your house, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so we don't really need to go to the hospital unless you have to suction as much. So unless that's one thing the RT, his RT told us, like unless it's like every 2 hours you have to do treatments on him, then it's like physically hard.
Demanding.
For the family.
So then he said like it's more a matter of helping the parents to go to the hospital when that happened than anything else.
Yeah.
And one thing I always wanted to say, like I was very scared of the trach because I had a friend growing up that had a trach and nobody could explain it to me what was, because I asked like what is the hole in there, and nobody could like explain it to me, and I was scared. But you know, like if you ever need to, like if the doctor ever say about a trach or anything like that, all I can say is like it's not a big deal, honestly, and it's a lot easier if they need. Yeah, it's a lot easier to manage.
Which happens too, that sometimes the doctors say like, oh, he needs, that's what he needs. Technically, it's the easier solution.
Yes.
Right. The easier solution is just put the trach on the kid.
It's just because it's so easy to manage. Yeah. But it's a lot easier to manage. But
the maintenance is different than not having the trach. So yeah. So I just want to mention that because I get asked a lot, like why and how, and you know the trach and managing trach at home and being sick or not being sick and stuff like that. And I think a lot of the kids, and if you guys are not familiar with pneumomyopathy and the kids with pneumomyopathy, it's such a huge spectrum. There's kids that talk and walk and you know are fine, and there's kids that don't eat, don't talk, don't breathe on their own. So there's like a huge spectrum, and there's a lot of kids that don't have a trach, but they sleep on the ventilator at night. So yeah, I just want to bring that up because people ask me. And
also, one thing we started to work in the foundation. It's so I'm in contact. I'm helping. There's a program that started in Italy, but went all over Europe. So it's basically the guy is a documentarist photographer. So he takes pictures of people with rare lives, kids and adults and all that. So we're trying to implement that in U.S. And right now he's based on New York City, and we're trying to build to get families that he can go and take pictures. And it's a beautiful program, and our foundation is trying to implement that. Soon I'm gonna have a link on the website about it, but basically it's super cool because the way he explained it to me is he wants to take a picture that translates what it's almost impossible to say. So daily lives, that you take a picture, but it's not like, it's so hard to put in words what that means to the family. So it's like, it's a beautiful, beautiful program, and they were able to raise so much awareness for all types of rare diseases out there in Italy and Europe, that it's like truly unbelievable, and the benefit that brings that to families. And you know, like when I started to cry when I was talking to him about the program, and he was emotional too. So it's so we're trying to implement. And if you know anybody in New York City, and especially family in New York City that want to participate on this, please tell them to contact our foundation, and so we can kind of help them out. And that's something that I believe can be good for everybody.
Yeah, we have no idea why things happen to us and why families come to our lives, and things, you know, like things like anything can happen, and sometimes you don't understand why, but at one point you always get to understand
I believe
everything.
it's a lesson, and everything happens for a reason. The fact that Karen and I, we were both athletes, uh, and we have a kid with muscle weakness, and neither of us carry the the gene. It gotta be a huge lesson. And I actually posted on my Instagram, I think it was yesterday. Like used to be all about me when I was working out and all that. And I believe that one of my lessons is to be a little bit more selfless. And because when you're a caregiver for any special needs or anything like that, you basically, it's all about Luke. And that's how our life is right now. Like, I started working out again with one simple goal, because a lot of people ask me, what are you gonna do when he gets heavier? And then I said, like, listen, if Luke doesn't get stronger, I need to get stronger to carry him. I don't care what I need to do, but the heavier he gets, the stronger I need to be in order to carry him. Like, that's my view as a father, at least. I'm gonna carry him as much as he needs. Like, if he needs less, he needs less. But if he needs more, I just need to get stronger. So I don't know, how is your view as a mom, but at least that's my view as a dad.
You don't know?
No, I have an idea, but
okay.
Well, I actually know the
12
answer,
years
but
later, he doesn't know.
no, I know the answer, but I don't know if you want to tell them, or I just don't want to
I
say
feel the
your
same
opinion.
way. I feel the same way. I think it's like, you still have to think about yourself, because you without being full and 100%, you're never gonna be enough for him.
No, you need to be healthy enough for him. Yes, I agree.
But I think life changes completely, and it's not even like when you have special need kids. When you have kids, like it becomes about them, and that's it. There's no other things, like life. And that's why we came. My dad used to say that to me, and I'm like, are you insane? Like, out of your mind? He's like, we came here to procreate, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then when I never wanted to have kids, and when we decided to have kids, and we had Luke, we're like, oh my God, it gave me that click, it makes so much sense that, like, because life, it becomes, and I totally respect whoever doesn't just want to have kids, but it like gives it a click that, oh my God, there's so much more in life, you raising a
at
human being.
at least for me.
It's not like about yourself all the time, and just you,
And for me, that was a huge impact, for the fact that like, I was an athlete before, and then it just like what it brought me is like, life is a lot more than that, and which brings me something that I might pay the price later, but I need to say it. I keep asking Kara, what about Leia? We need to have.
Bring that up. I knew you were gonna.
We need to have another one.
Let's talk about that next episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna pay the price when I get home. I know that.
Yeah, he wants Leia.
I want Leia. We can't have Luke without Leia, right?
Yeah.
Or another Luke. It doesn't matter. But what do you think, Luke? You want a sibling? Yesterday was like National Sibling Day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. See.
Yay!
You could be celebrating.
Yeah. It's the thought is there and the idea is there. I'm not sure, not because I am afraid that it's gonna have the same disease as Luke. No, that's not.
No.
That's not.
Well, if he's born with MLI myopathy, we don't need to spend 90 days in the NICU. We just say, like, put him on tray, give me all the stuff, we go home.
Yeah.
So
that's not,
I don't think that's the big issue.
It's just that it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and I'm being a little selfish there, saying that it's a lot of work, because it's a lot of work for me. So I know it's
too.
a lot of
No.
I'm saying like
I just don't carry for 9 months, but other than that,
10 months.
Yeah, almost 10 months.
Yeah.
40 weeks.
you care for, yeah. So the first 2 years a lot about mom, 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 and then like, and I'm a full-time caregiver of Luke, so
Well, I said in the hospital, and I say it again. If I could feed the kid,
yeah, I know,
but
but it's not possible.
it's physically, it's physiologically not possible.
I think Luke could benefit having sibling. I have siblings, and it's like life. I can't imagine my life without them. So, you know, for the good, for the bad, we're all learn with each other. But it's a lot of work. And Kate is there. Kate is there, so she can tell us she had it too. Yeah, we have other parents that we know that have too. So, but let's think. The thought is out there. All right, guys. So for
Who knows,
this
maybe
week,
next episode we can say that we are.
no, I don't think so.
Driving.
I don't think so. Not Luke. No.
Well, we never know.
Luke wants my full attention right now. All right, guys. We're trying to make this. It's a little unorganized, I guess, but we're trying to make this. You know, every week we bring something new,
We
and
try to bring the raw emotions as much as possible,
Yeah.
I guess.
and that's what we were feeling yesterday about. You know, being a kid and.
All the therapies and all that.
Yeah, and then having Luke being a kid, not like, you know, just pushing him. Because I remember when I was a kid and I was an athlete, and that was fun until a certain point, you know, until I'm like, oh, I can't take this anymore, you know,
Exactly.
just let me hang out with my friends and that's it. So.
And I always say, like, at least my view as a dad is like I don't want to repeat the same mistakes that I thought that happened to me. Of course, nobody's perfect, but and we're always trying our best with the awareness that we have at that moment. But I don't want Luke to be like, oh my God, I can't take therapy anymore and all that. I want him to be having fun and living life the way that he came here to live. So that's that's what we were talking yesterday, and that's why like this every Wednesday thing we wanted to do live, and we wanted to do kind of like a raw thing and what it brings it up. If if we are sad, if we're happy, how we deal with it, and I don't know, like Karen and I, we have kind of like an unwritten policy that first of all we don't go to sleep mad with each other. We always talk, and I think we always been like this for 12 years. Like every issue or anything like that, me as a dad, I try to participate as much as possible, and I try to help her as much as possible because I know how it is. I get here from school, and I would say like from 12 to 4 when he goes to bed, it's like insane, and I can not even imagine what she goes through when I'm not there. So like I try to help and participate.
My fellow friends
as much as possible. Yes, every mom out there, and I would say like if you're a dad that you by any moment you think that you're not helping enough, step up, guys, because it is a lot of work. Like it is a lot of work. With special kids or no special kids, it is tons of work. Okay, and plus like. You know how it is, like you're talking to kids all the time. It's not like you're talking to adults and stuff like that. So the mom needs a break, so that's that's my policy. That's my policy, and that's what I try to do. I'm not perfect, but
no, but I have to be
try
fair.
to
He says that to me also, but it's hard to let it go. And other moms saying like it's hard to let it go. It's hard to. Like if I ever get out of the house by myself, which is like probably once a month, I think, did he do that? Did he do that? Did he get that done? Did he get that done? So it's like. And
I always tell her like, you gotta relax because he's with daddy, and I know what to do. But like it's if she's like out there for a massage for an hour, like the minute she got out of massage, she already texted me like, you did this. It was like, just relax, I got it covered. But either way. That's what like I said, I'm not perfect. I don't try to be perfect. I don't want to be perfect. But you know, like I try to step it up every time, and then every once in a while we have like a discussion and we talk about it. Then I ask her like what I need to help more, and you know, when she says, you know, like I try my best, you know, like for example, washing dishes, I wasn't good at it, but she told me like, hey, can you help me out more with the dishes? And then I step it up, and you know, things get. But our unwritten policy since we started dating, we never went to bed mad with each other. We always talk to, even if that requires talking to 3 a.m., being uncomfortable and all that. That's how we deal with it. So.
Yeah, and I think it's important that raising a kid, it's not a mom's job. It's, you know, it's dad and mom's job. So, or you know, both parents have that responsibility. So.
And in my belief is like the mom gives the gift of life, but the dad brings the spiritual energy into it. So it's very important to the kid to have, in our case, to the kid to have that input from both. You know, so it's a job from on both parents. She didn't do that by herself, that's for sure. So
and I think it's really important that dad recognizes that, you know, how hard it is. And he said it right, you know, like even if you work all day in your job like that, right? You work all day and blah blah blah, not blah blah blah, but like you work all day and, you know, bring the money and pay the bills, whatever. You're still around adults and you're talking to adults, and you're
doing different things, you know.
It's a different perspective, and then but being around kids and kids with special needs, it's like I said, you know, you're doing for him. He wants to play, you're playing for him. You're bringing the toys for him, so it's different. All right, but this is getting long, so we can talk about it a little bit more next time. If you guys have any questions, please write it down,
and ask or email us or something, and
we can talk about it next time.
We can talk about it, our opinion, or even how we deal with it, or whatever you prefer.
Yep.
All right.
We're here. We want to bring awareness, and we want to, you know, kind of share our life and show that there's, like I said before, you know, there's happiness. There's like challenges, yes, but like everybody has challenge in their lives, and but it's possible, and it's possible to be happy and have like a happy marriage and raise like a great kid.
All right.
All right.
See you next Wednesday.
Say bye-bye, Luki.
Bye, Luki.
Bye.